all eager and excited to see them get back on track. And it's a process. I think, as we all know, Jayden Daniels is pretty special. If we can keep him healthy and I think that's going to be the main thing this year. And our defense has to play better too. Let's face it. You can't give up 4 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield and expect to get into the playoffs. So we've got to tie some loose ends together there and get back here and on our own home turf and play well in front of our fans and get our fans and this community, who I think is excited coming in here, a little bit more excited about our football team.
Mark Rypien with us here on Grant and Danny. So I want to touch on that, Mark. Going back to that post-'87 magical run, that incredible season, Super Bowl, there's a bill that has to happen. And I think you came on board in 88, if memory serves, right?
86.
86. There you go. Yep. Yeah. So, but you saw kind of that transition to go from not where you guys wanted to be to exactly where you wanted to be, the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, he came in together. Right. I just told him that. I just got done mentioning that, Raven. Yeah.
But they're kind of in the beginning stages of that now, coming off a season that nobody was happy about. You got a new coaching staff, new everything. Go into that where it's the light at the end of the tunnel exists. You know where that is, but getting there is really, really hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Speak to that.
The bar was high.
Yeah.
It was already high. You had JT, that Theismann and Rigo that had won a Super Bowl. That 82 team was probably the best team in the NFL that didn't win a Super Bowl. And then to see the maturation of those guys in 86 go through a strike year, and a lot of us not even knowing if we were going to come back. But Joe Gibbs, word of a man of his word, said, you guys go out together, you come back together, and so we went out that strike year, came back together. Our replacement team was really, really good, and got us in a good position. And then, of course, Doug got hot in the playoffs and just rolled through the playoffs. And we got Darrell Green's touchdown against the Bears and stopping Darren Nelson at the 1-yard line against the Vikings. And those things I remember like yesterday. And I was in a sweater writing plays down, and scripting plays and all that. And then to roll Denver in the Super Bowl after being down 10-0 first quarter and getting that 42 or 35 points, a golden quarter of the NFL. And so Doug was kind of my mentor, for the next couple of years. And we played off and on together, but he's very helpful. And one of the reasons, I had a lot of success was because of Jerry Rome, Doug Williams, Joe Gibbs, a very offensive-minded head coach, and we had the Hogs. And we were able to do the things that you want to do in football anyway. That's run the football and make plays off play action. And that year in 91, 92, we certainly did that. I think we obviously led the league, and I don't think anyone's come close in the last 20 years to making the big plays that we made that year. And we had special players. We had Gary, Ricky, and Art, the posse that were, instrumental, and along with Ernest Biner, the Hogs, and it was just a great group of guys.
Super Bowl 26 MVP Mark Rypien on Grant and Danny. I've always wanted to ask you about that season. It was 9 sacks given up, right, all year? I mean, that's unheard of in any standard, but today, I mean, that's just a number that seems comical. How much of sacks do you say that was a great line, everyone knows that, but quarterback driven too, getting the ball out, dropping to the proper depth? I mean, it seems to me like when there's a sack, it's immediately, the pass protection was bad. There's a lot more to it than that, obviously.
A lot more. There's receivers running hot routes and running backs running hot routes, getting the ball out when you have to, knowing you don't have enough guys to block the guys that they're coming with. And then there's other times where they're going to rush more, but you got maximum protection and you got one-on-one with your receivers with no one in the middle of the field. So all you have to do is get your drop, make sure you get you set yourself and make the throw. So there's a lot of components to that. Most importantly, our guys up front. You're only as good as the guys up front. Our Hogs are great. Donnie Warren was a special part of that. He's not a big pass catching tight end, but he was the guy in the running game and the passing game, was able to block Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White and Jerome Brown. I mean, there's great football players back then too, and we had to have special protections against those guys, game plan those guys, understand when they're coming, what they're doing. So there's a lot of guys on the same page. We had smart players, we had great athletes, and the receivers were as big a part as was Ernest Biner as far as blitz breakoffs and all the things you have to have in order to not take a sack. And I didn't care. It was like if my numbers were 57%, I could have held on to the ball and maybe thrown 70%, completions. That wasn't what we wanted. We didn't want to get ourselves in a bad situation at any point in time. We want to put ourselves in a good third down situation, get rid of the ball if you have to, make a play when you needed to. And we were all pretty good at that. And so and plus the fact our defense was so good. They got us in great field position a lot of the time. And our team as a whole, with Wayne Sevier and special teams, Richie Pettibone run the defensive side, and of course Joe Gibbs and what we did in the offense. It was just a special year that year, 91, 92.
So you mentioned this. I'd forgotten you were drafted in 86, but then you played in 88, and it's just a different time now, right? Where the instant a rookie sets foot on campus, he's the starter, has to be, and the clock is already ticking because of the CBA and the way contracts are. But that adjustment, guys don't have that luxury to wait anymore. Jayden Daniels, what's he going through right now? And just kind of related to your own experience and what you see from him.
Well, you want Jayden Daniels to be good last year when he wasn't even here.
Right.
It's like, what can you do for me right now? That's the narrative for the league right now. I was fortunate. I've had some questionable injuries my first 2 years.
Are they still nagging you? They're still bothering
Oh
you?
my goodness! Or you roll out. And, in fact, one was above a tire. Mark, you're supposed to be down. Oh, and I jump back up, ready to get in the huddle. He goes, Mark, you're supposed to be, a little hurt, aren't you? Sore? Yeah. So
is that like IR stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So there's some some things that we were able to manipulate a little bit to keep guys on IR, and because they didn't have practice squad then. So I'm very blessed because of that, and was willing to do whatever role that I had to keep on the football team. And then when my time came, was able to watch, and that's a hard thing now for Jayden Daniels. He doesn't get an opportunity to sit there and watch, what's happening, how the plays are, how fast the game is, what it's going to be like if he was in that situation. I had 2 years to do that. So when my time came, I was more prepared than Jayden Daniels was. But this kid's as gifted as they come. I mean, he's got more talent on one pinky than I did in my whole body. And I think if we have to be good on defense, you got to get him the football. We can't be giving up 30 points, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nothing against the Buccaneers, but we got to be better on defense. We got to get him the football, get him more touches, get our players more touches, get our skilled players more touches, and be good on special teams. And special teams has changed now. You see where kickoffs are going now. I mean, everyone is into these optics now, where they saw what was happening during the preseason. They kicked it in the red zone. They got it past the 32 to the 35. They say, well, why not kick it out the back of the end zone? You're going to get it at 30. So that's what kickers are doing now. It's almost a waste of special team talent. If you got great special team coverage guys, they're being wasted by this new rule. And I still don't understand it. Nor will I ever understand. What are they going to do if it's an onside kick? I mean, you
have to tell beforehand.
You have to tell.
There's
you
no
got to tip your
surprise.
hand. Yeah. So it's to me, it's kind of a crazy thing. I don't know. I think the NFL will look at it and see how this year goes. But I do know we want to protect. Protect the players. We want to protect players from those massive, 30-yard running down fields and colliding helmet to helmets. Obviously, we want to do that, but got to be a different way of doing it.
What's your take as someone who all your great memories are at RFK Stadium?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking a lot about trying to get the team back to D.C. and the RFK site, as opposed to maybe something immaculate out by where their current stadium is. I mean, do you have a horse in the race or care much where the next stadium is?
Oh, I care a lot. I mean, I'm just so far removed from it that I hope they get it in RFK. I hope they go back to that site, wipe the whole place up, build a brand new stadium there, and let's get back to being what we were at one point in time. One of the most dominant franchises in the history of the NFL. And I think so. If we can do that, and I think that'll also bring back some memories and some, a father and their son. The son was being maybe 10 years old when we played then. Now he's 40 years old, and his son's coming in, the grandson of the dad who brought his son to the game. Get them back to that area, that place, and that special place where we can reminisce and build something again, because we're starting over from scratch with this new management ownership. Josh Harris and the Harris Group and all the things that they bring to the table, and they've also been a proven winner in their other franchises, whether it be 76ers and the Devils and soccer. Right? So they know what the formula is. Just get us a stadium now and get it back there at RFK, where RFK site is, and get this fan base excited. I mean, it almost hurt to, like 10 years ago, to come back to a Cowboys-Redskins game and see more Cowboys fans in the stadium. And that's embarrassing. That's not what we're about. And I guess we have to put a product out there. We have to put a product that wins week in and week out and is consistent. And I think we got the people to do it. Now let's just get out and do it.
We're still trying to get used to the name. Is it growing on you at all?
No, it never will. I never played for the Commanders. I absolutely support the Commanders and what they're doing now, but I never played for them. And, it's just this day and age now that we have to deal with. And I just don't hope they don't lose the fact that we were Redskins, and that's all I played for. That's all I knew. And that's all, we remember. So it's this new thing, and we're going to support these guys because that's the era we're in.
I was inside a few minutes ago, Danny, and someone said the Commanders, the Legends, are out there.
And well, are they?
And I was like, which ones?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not a Commander legend. I'm not. I'm a Redskin legend. Oh, I'm a Redskin lover.
I'll say
You
you're
can
a
say
legend.
it. We got you.
Yeah.
Super Bowl
I-
MVP.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love my guys. I love this guy, Ricky Irvin. I mean, he's one of the best people, and all those guys. They come back and they play in our Mickey Steele event we have out in Queenstown, and we get about 50 of these guys, and they mean so much to us. And Ricky was a big part of that Super Bowl team, and we love him, and all the guys. They just mean a lot. So.
Have you had much interaction with Josh Harris and company, and what's it been like?
Yeah. During in kind of when they got the team, and there was some stuff that they were doing in Vegas. I went out there and got to meet Josh and his brother, and they've invited me up to New Jersey if I ever get there for a Devils game, or if ever in Philly, but I just want to support these guys and this team, and get this Commanders football team back to playing the type of football the Redskins played back in our era. So
Well, we appreciate the time, and
Danny, thank you.
Awesome
guys.
catching up with you, and just great to get to chat with the legends that made this team still what it is now so many years ago.
Well, it's fantastic to see these guys, but it's better to be here with what we're doing here today, and that's really, really honoring these veterans, honoring our servicemen and women, and making sure our families, the families of these servicemen and women, are remembered and also taken care of. And that's what this money's for, is to help them and make sure that they are taken care of. So amen to all those guys, and appreciate them. You see them around here, and all we can do is just say thank you.